Yeah, hello everybody. Today we are going to talk about service worker. We all were so nice screaming build better apps, and this session is totally about it. It's totally about building better apps with service worker. And let's start from the definition. Actually, who is Mr. Service Worker? Well, service worker first is a new JavaScript API and is a special type of web worker. And the logical question is, what is web worker? And web worker is a script running in background in separate thread. So the brief history of service worker is as follows. First, web worker came. It was the intention to make JavaScript multi-threaded, and then guys from Google realized if we already have the technology that allows us to run JavaScript in the background, why won't we use it to make some other stuff? And what is the purpose of service worker? What does he do? So this purpose, this intention is to fill the gap between web and native apps in context of offline first and background operations. So yeah, we have already web worker, and we can make special type of web worker that will help us to achieve these goals. And the next question which I want to proceed is, what is offline first? And offline first is about not treating offline like an error. Let's look at some examples, how this looks in practice, in real life. And I'm going to use Facebook. On the left side, you see the Facebook opened in the browser, in the Google Chrome on mobile. And on the right side, you see Facebook opened in a native app on Android. So, if I don't have a network, if I try to open Facebook in a browser, I just see an error. You are offline and that's it. I don't see an interface, nothing at all. Just this ugly picture. This is not offline first, this is offline as error. And this is not good. And if I open the app, native app on Android, I still see the screen, the Facebook screen, and I even can look at the feed. Facebook even will display me the posts that I've loaded when I had internet. And let's look at another case. This is again Facebook, and this is posting of comments. On the left side browser, on the right side native app. So you see, when I try to post in browser, when I don't have a network, I just see this loader indicator. It just loads, and then just nothing happens. They even don't process this error. So the error happens somewhere in background, and I then just don't see anything new on the page, just this loader disappears, and that's it. If I post comment with Facebook app being offline, it posts it, and it has this notification that this comment will appear when online. So this is what offline first is. So offline first is the case when your app is ready to be offline, and it will still give users the opportunities to communicate with the app. Not just throwing some errors or just displaying blank screen. So now, when we know what is offline first, let's look what previous solution we had, because this is not a new problem, and web community already did some intentions to overcome this problem. And this was app cache. This was app cache API, commonly known as cache manifest. But this API had some bad sides. Let's look at. It allowed to cache only GET requests, so no POST, no PUT, no delete, only pure GET. It allowed only fully update cache, so no individual record updates, nothing. Just full cache update, and that's it. And you weren't able to add some logic when working with cache, so it was pretty straightforward. You just cache, and that's it. No logic. No, you couldn't decide when you should cache, when you shouldn't cache, and so on. And that's why this API is now deprecated. If you still use it in some projects, you better don't do it. You better throw it away now, because in some nearest future, it will completely disappear from browsers. And what Service Worker offers us, comparing to this old stuff, and what new features does it have? First is making apps available offline. You can organize install process, and you can organize update process. So just like in native apps. You install new version, then you can apply update, you can notify a user, and so on. Second is a full control over app caches. We have cache API, and we can flexibly decide how do we do our caching. Third is a full control over network requests. It's kind of interceptor in a browser. You are the god of the network. You can control everything, you can alter everything, and it's really cool. And the other thing is push notification. Yeah, now your web app can send push notification to the client device, for example, to mobile device, like all the natives app can. And background synchronization. Yeah, you can put some task into background, you can sync in background, you can sync when user comes from offline to online, and so on. And let's introduce this service worker, and we will start from its life cycle. It's a little bit boring slide, but you need to know it to understand better what I will be talking further about. So, first you need to register service worker, then it goes through install step, then it goes through wait step, is when maybe old version of service worker still exists and it needs to be released. Then it goes through activate stage, so it starts receiving events and takes control over your app. And the last step is suspend step. So when you close your app, so close the tab in a browser, service worker is still lives his life. It just got to suspend state, and in this suspend state, it still can receive events. So it still can receive push notification and do background things and so on. And let's look how we can operate with service worker. First, we need to do is to register it. Here you see some code, yeah? So, navigator service worker, get registration. We check if we already registered it. Then if we don't have registration, yeah, we go and call navigator service worker register, where we pass the URL where our service worker file is placed. Then we get the registration object, we can work with it further. If some error occurred, we can catch it on the function. So, what gotchas, what main keys can we talk about here? Is that Navigator Service Worker is a place for Service Worker API. This is completely new API, and everything you need to do with Service Worker on the client, you will be able to do through this API. And as you already seen, Service Worker is a separate file. you can't bundle it with other files. It always needs to be a separate one. Well, you can bundle few files into service worker file, but you can't bundle service worker file with normal app files. Other thing is that service worker can be registered from another domain. So this should be only your domain site. So no CDNs, no other hosts, only your domain. And next is that HTTPS is required. So when you register service worker, it can be registered only using HTTPS protocol. But good news, localhost is whitelisted, so while you are developing, you still can register from your localhost. And here I want to stop for a while, because look at these 3 last points, yeah? It's all about security, because service worker normally produces a lot of security questions, like, wow, somebody can treat me, somebody can register their own service worker on my site, and it will do some weird stuff, maybe like mining bitcoins or something else. So this 3 points is about security of service worker. So it's only HTTPS and it's only your domain. So you can be aware that it won't be attacked or something else. And let's continue. This is also a very important point, that service worker, it doesn't have access to main app context. So it runs in its own context, and you can't interact with the app just writing some code. Well, you can send some events, but just to get the access to the main app context from service worker, you can't do it. And of course, in real world, we need to check if service worker is supported. It's quite new API, so if you will be using it, just don't forget to do this check if service worker is in Navigator. Next, let's look at some typical scenarios that we can develop with service worker. And first, of course, you will need to install the app, because it's a logical step. Yeah, we want to be offline first. What do we need to do? Well, you see here I have a code. It's basically the code that you write inside the service worker, and it starts from self. So what is self? Self is like a service worker context. It's like old thing. You also have this in window. So self in window points to the window context, and in service worker, self points to service worker context. And you add event listener. It's a special event install. It's from service worker lifecycle I was talking before. So on install event, yeah, you pass their function, you pass list of URLs you need to cache, and what do you do next? You see this event that came here to install? Yeah, and this event has this interesting method, event wait until. It's completely new approach. So what it does, it is kind of extendable event. So this event, it won't be released, so service worker won't process another event until the promise which passed to event wait until will be resolved. So what do we do in this promise? We open caches. Caches is a place for caches API. We, for example, some static cache. It's a name of a cache. You can put any string you want here. So it's just about how will you name your caches. And then you receive this cache. And URLs to cache, these are our URLs. You map them and you put them into the cache. Cache add URL. And that's it. So you now cached all these static files. Normally, when you install the app, yeah, you cache static files, but you can cache anything you want, actually. But the default scenario is to cache some static files. Well, what main points, what gotchas here? Let's extendable event. Yeah, it's completely new approach, completely new API that comes together with service worker. I must say, a lot of new APIs come with service worker. So one of them is extendable event. So you can pause event processing with event wait until. The next one is window caches, places for caches. Cache API is also completely new API that comes together with service worker. And let's go to another scenarios is cache first caching strategy. So what does it mean? It means that I first go to cache, I check if something is in cache. If it is in cache, I return. If not, I go to the network. Normally, this caching strategy is applied to static files. So static files that we've installed on the install step, for example. Let's look how it could be written. So you see again this self, yeah, at event listener, and one new event is a fetch event. What is this event about? This event is fired in service worker every time the network request is happened. So you kinda intercept a network request. And you see this event is fetch event, and it has special method respond with. So you can alter the response with this method, and what we do here, we open our previously created cache, static cache, version 1, and look if this request, cache match, you see, event request, if this request has cached response in our cache. And if it has cached response, we return this cache response. If it doesn't have, we return fetch. So what is fetch? Fetch is also a new API that comes with service worker. You will hear it today frequently, this word, new API, because service worker is completely new stuff and is full with new APIs. So this fetch, what it does the network request. So we can call it and return it if we didn't find our cached response in the cache. So again, gotchas. Fetch event is a new type of event. It's a network request event. It allows us to intercept network requests. So it's kind of interceptor in browser. If you want to use a less of framework code, you can now like skip, for example, Angular interceptors and make your interceptors to be native to run just in browser. And the time has come for this statement. As you've already seen, everything is promised when it comes to service worker. So service worker is totally baked with promises. So if you still don't know how to work with them, or maybe you have some doubts how promise work, you need to know this when starting working with service worker. And let's look at another strategy, is network first cache strategy. So this strategy is commonly applied to API calls. What does it mean, network first? It means that first I go to network. If network is available, I return response from the network. If network is not available, I'll go to cache and look if it is cached. And if it is cached, I return it from cache. So why for API responses? Because we always want to pass to the user new data from API. Yeah, and in case when network is available, okay, we're gonna show him some old data. Let's look how we can do this with service worker. So this is happening in fetch callback, fetch event processing. You see event response with, we already know this method. And what I do first, I do fetch. Yeah, I fetch this request from network, then I see the response. If I got okay response, if status is 200, yeah, if it is, because I don't want to cache like some errors or something like this, I check status. Yeah, then I open our API cache, for example, I called it API cache version 1, and then I put this response to the cache. So the key will be event request. This is the nature of the cache. It has a request as the key and the response as a data, as a value. And after I put this to cache, I return response clone. Why clone? Because response is a stream and it can be read only once. Is another interesting thing. Yeah, the streams come into play here, and actually, yeah, response is a stream. And I catch error. So this cache, it comes from fetch, yeah, and when it is fired, it's fired when network is unavailable. So yeah, you see, look up, and let's look in the next slide, because it was too big to put on the one slide. And this is what happens in the cache callback. So you see, if network failed, yeah, I go to the cache, open it, and look if this response is already cached. If cached, I return cached. If no, I finally return error. And that's it. That's network first caching strategy. What gotchas do we have here? First, fetch. It's a new API for network requests. And as you've already seen, it is fully promise-baked. So bye-bye to you, our XML HTTP request. You were our good friend for long years, but now it's time to say goodbye, because all this callback stuff is quite old. We need to do it the modern way. And so fetch is a modern way to do network requests, and it works with promises. Next, you need to know that fetch promise cache, yeah, it is executed when network is unavailable. Because it's a little bit tricky, because some people think that it is executed when you got network error. So, for example, like 500 internal service error, but it is fired when network is unavailable. Response. Another one, new API, is for working with network responses. And you need to remember that response is a stream. Streams comes into play here, and you can only read it once. And after that, the stream is marked as read, and so can be reused. And to overcome this, we have a clone method that we can use to clone this stream and basically use it once again. Well, after you already know some caching strategies, you probably will need to modify responses. And let's look how we can do it with service worker. So I first do this event response with that we already know, yeah. Then I do our fetch and response. I got it. I clone it, yeah, because I will probably need to reuse it. I clone it, yeah, and I get text from it. It's a matter of text. It returns. It reads text from the stream, yeah. It also returns promise, and I got response text, and I construct new response. Well, I put this text, and I just replace foo with bar. It's just simple transformation. Just for example, it makes no sense normally, yeah, but that's how you can do it. You can take response text from original response, make some transformation, and construct new response with this transformed text. Also, if you need, you can alter headers. You can modify headers, and that's how you modify the response. What gotchas do we have here? Well, we can modify the response whatever way we want. Yeah, you can actually feel yourself like a god of a network. And so, yeah, we've got like an interceptor running right in the browser. It's really cool, because we now can throw away maybe some other Node.js middleware stuff. Maybe we can throw away some other Angular interceptors and so on. So this is it's really handy to have network interceptor right in the browser. And after you install the app, of course, you will need to update the app. And here, let's look at some basic points of updating the app. So install event is fired. You already seen this event, and you need to know that it is fired every time the service worker file is updated. So it is considered updated when just changed in size. So if you, for example, just alter some version in it, it will be considered updated. And activate event is another event that can be cached in service worker, and it is used to clean up the old version stuff. So it happens just when a new service worker need to get into the game, and you can manage your old stuff in this event. And one more thing, and this is really important, service worker has two update modes, cold mode and hot mode. Let's look at these modes, because we need to know how they work before we update our app. And cold mode is the first mode, it's default mode. So it's install, then we wait for old worker to release. Then we release old worker when all pages are closed. So this is important, just when all pages are closed with your application, the old worker is released. And then when you once again open your application, the activate step is run, where you can clean the old stuff, and finally you take control over the page. And yeah, sorry, the last point, and it's basically like Google Chrome update model. So Google Chrome updates in background, and only after you close all the windows of Google Chrome, it takes up the new version. So that's it. And another mode is a hot mode. To apply it, you need to call skip waiting inside of service worker. And this mode is much more simple. It just runs install, it just runs activate, and immediately after that, it takes control over the page. And what do you have? You have old apps controlled by new service worker. Is a really important point, because from here we can make the assumption, we can make when we need to use this update mode. So cold mode we need to use when basically our old stuff is not compatible with new stuff. These 2 points. And hot mode, we need to use it when our new stuff is compatible with old stuff. And to say more, this is a mode that you will be using more frequently than a cold mode. So cold mode is a very safe one, and this one is just update and go. So when you have total compatibility with old version, you can use this hot mode. And let's look how it is written in code. Yeah. So it's all about just adding some static version variable. So here I just, you see, added to the name of my static cache. Well, we've already seen this screen, but the version were hard-coded, version 1. Here I just can have this static version variable, and when I update my app, I just change this variable, and after that, then the cache with the new name is created, and that's it. But I need to clean old caches, and that's the code that cleans them. It's nothing special also. Well, nothing special. Nothing special if you've seen previous screens. So we cache activate event, and we take cache keys. So this is all the caches we have, and then we see if our cache name doesn't match the actual version. We just delete this cache. So we create new cache with every version, and we delete old caches on activate. And after you updated your app, you will probably want to notify the user that the app is updated. So here comes the sending messages to client from service worker. How to do it? This is like the simple realization. This is the function, send to clients, yeah. Well, self clients is a context of service worker, yeah, it has clients. You can call match all. This method will return all the clients. This is the key include uncontrolled. It's set to true. It means that I will also receive those clients that use another versions of service worker that aren't using the updated service worker. And then I get these clients, and for each client I post some message, for example, the app is updated, and then I handle this on the client. How do I do it? On the client, we have this navigator service worker where all the service worker API lives, and message event, and event data is actually the message that we send to the client from service worker. And that's it. You can then have some maps of messages and you can process them the way you want. And so that is how you can notify user about something that has happened in service worker. And that's it. We are ready to go and pack our own apps, to make them offline first, to bring the better experience to the user, to build the better apps. And remember, with big power comes big responsibility. Because, as you already seen, service worker is a very, very powerful API. It allows us to do a lot of crazy stuff just to alter network responses, just to cache everything we want in any way we want. So be careful with it, because you can easily break something and make your users unhappy. And that's really bad. Don't make users unhappy. And what about messages and background sync? Oh yeah, as you see, we're already time out, and push messages is really a huge topic. You can read about it on a Google Dev site. It's a really great article. I don't even think I will be able to add something. This is a HR code to this article, and simple, nice demo. You can go to this demo just now and try to send some push notifications from this demo to your mobile client. You will see how it looks like on the mobile when you just receive push notifications from your web app. And what about background sync? Background sync, well, actually it gives the ability to make some tasks, to postpone them until the user has connectivity, and to synchronize some data that was created when you were offline, when you go online. But this API is now only in state of proposal draft, and it is a very big subject to change, so it's a little bit too early to talk about it. But if you want, you can go to these docs, they are already available. Maybe you even want to participate, because you are welcome to participate too. Maybe you have some proposals to this spec and so on. And the last thing, almost the last thing, is browser support. Well, it's a good question, of course, because we live in this world of different browsers and they always makes us unhappy. So browser support, Chrome, very good. Basically, as I already said, the Chrome guys are pushing this feature forward, and so Chrome has almost all features. Firefox is quite good because it has the same number of features as Chrome now, but some of them are nightly. Opera are good, it's K features. After they moved to Blink, they are good at all. And it doesn't have it yet, but it's optimistic because they are thinking about it. It's under consideration now. And the worst thing, no man, the worst thing is Safari. It's bad, it's just bad. No public commitment. Hey, Safari, if you see me here, just say something. We need it, it's a cool feature. Okay, sorry for this expression, but I really want this feature to be implemented in Safari. And details, there's a details link. You can go through this link and see the details support table. And short list of resources. First one is developer guide on Chromium site. If you want to develop, sorry without QR codes because I didn't have a place here. So if you want to develop using Service Worker, go to this link. It has a lot of documentations, and there also you will see how to debug Service Worker, because it's not that not a common process debugging Service Worker. And very nice resource. I must even say it's not a resource, it's a collection of resources by Jack Archibald. This is the guy, by the way, who pushes Service Worker forward most of all. And introduction on HTML5 rocks is completely like outstanding article. It's really huge and it's worth to read. And the last one is really nice link. Is service worker libraries maintained by Google? Yeah, there are already some libraries, so you don't need to write all these big like parts of code that you've seen, because you already can use libraries to optimize your code writing. And now go grab latest Chrome and try it. And that's it. Thank you. Maybe some questions. We already have maybe like 5 minutes.
Hey, thanks for your lecture. I've missed a little bit from the beginning. But as I understand, service worker is not closing after a browser is closing, right? And that's what I've asking about. What about like security leaks? I mean, if some site integrate Bitcoin miner or something in this service worker, and how do I know this from user side?
Actually, I was talking about it. It's bad that you missed the start because this is a very important point, as I already said. And okay, I will say about it one more time. So service worker is a separate file. Two is the file that you can only connect from your domain. So no other domains, nobody will integrate nothing into your site. And third point it is allowed to connect only by HTTPS. So nobody will treat his site like yours. So no this kind of attacks. So it's only you who can connect service worker to your site.